Sri Lanka has one of the most beautiful and diverse landscapes out of anywhere in Asia. It's a country I find myself returning to again and again, and with people as friendly as the Irish and food as tasty as their northern neighbours, it's a destination that everyone should have on their bucket list. A haven for wildlife, a paradise for hiking, home to a rugged coastline and pristine beaches, and an absolute dream to travel around. Here's my pick of the top things to do in Sri Lanka. Number 1. Do an elephant safari. By far one of the top things to do in Sri Lanka, going on an elephant safari was always going to be top of this list. We're here in Kandula National Park, which is one of the best places in Sri Lanka to see elephants. Sri Lanka takes great pride in protecting their elephants, and killing one of these gorgeous protected species carries the death penalty. There are currently between 2,500 and 4,000 wild elephants in Sri Lanka, with many now living in national parks as the country becomes more developed. The best places to go on safari in Sri Lanka include Kandula National Park and Minneriya National Park in central Sri Lanka, and Yala National Park down south. You can see up to 300 elephants in each national park in herds of 15 to 20 at a time, walking with their young, bathing, or eating their insanely huge intake of grass. Number 2. Check out Colombo's rooftop bars. If you're planning to go to stay in Colombo on arrival or before flying out, you need to check out some of the city's spectacular rooftop bars. These can be found on the top floor of Colombo's most luxurious hotels, including the gorgeous Movenpick Hotel Colombo with its multicoloured infinity pool and killer cocktail menu. Number 3. Explore rural Jaffna. What makes Jaffna one of the most unique places to visit in Sri Lanka is that it only opened up to tourism 9 years ago. This means there aren't too many tourists around, and you'll probably have the main sites, Jaffna town, and all the beaches to yourself. There is so much history to be learned in the area, be it the ancient story of the Buddha tree and how it came to be planted here, to learning about the Sri Lankan civil war between the government and the Tamil Tigers. While in Jaffna, there are a few top sites everyone should visit, including the Jaffna Fish Market. We are here in Jaffna, which is a city in the very far north of Sri Lanka. It only actually opened up to tourism about 9 years ago when the war ended. There was a civil war between the north of Sri Lanka and the rest of Sri Lanka. It only ended in 2009. The name of the area we are in right now is called Crowland, named after the crows, which are absolutely everywhere. I'm here at the Hindu baths here in Jaffna. These baths are actually quite sacred, and people come here when a loved one has died. They bring the ash into the ocean, which I will show you, and then once they have brought the ash into the ocean, they come back here to this sacred bath and they wash themselves and they cleanse themselves until they are totally clean and the body and all of the remains of the ash is totally gone from them. Number 4. Climb Sigiriya and Pirurangala Rock. No visit to Sri Lanka would be complete without visiting the country's most famous rock fortress. Sigiriya is by far one of the most beautiful places to visit in Sri Lanka and definitely one of the top attractions. So if you are planning to come here, I highly recommend doing this hike. The site itself is teeming with history, from the ancient rock fortress at the top to the famous Lion Rock and the sprawling water gardens. Opposite Sigiriya is Pirurangala Rock, which I think is the best place to hike for spectacular views of Sigiriya. We are at Pirurangala, which is a rock just next to Sigiriya, which is one of the top places to visit here in Sri Lanka. I've actually already climbed Sigiriya Rock twice, so I decided to go up to this one today instead. when the king wanted to build a new palace, he wanted to build it on top of Sigiriya rock. There was already a monastery on top of that rock, so the king asked the monks at that monastery if he could build his palace there and if they could move their monastery here. So he found this rock for them and he helped to build the monastery here so he could build his palace on the other rock. Okay guys, we made it to the top. The view is amazing. Check it out. Oh, Sigiriya! Oh my god. Go inside. Whew. Attractive. So as amazing as Sigiriya is, I think the view from here of Sigiriya is even better. Number 5. Drink a fresh coconut. With the thousands of coconut trees that line the coastline, you can't come to Sri Lanka and not treat yourself to a delicious fresh coconut drink. We stopped off at a friend's parents' house and his dad climbed halfway up a tree to knock me down a coconut and then sliced it open with the biggest knife I've ever seen. Number 6. Take the train from Kandy to Yala. The most famous train ride in Sri Lanka is the train from Kandy to Yala that winds its way cross-country past hundreds of acres of super green tea plantations. The train can be quite crowded, with many people hanging out at the train doors and trying to squash into the train carriages at every stop. Overcrowding aside, it's one of the most beautiful train rides in the world and ends in Yala, a picturesque town in Sri Lanka's hill country. Number 7. Nuwara Eliya tea plantations. While most people take the train direct from Kandy to Yala, I highly recommend stopping off in Nuwara Eliya for one night. It's a gorgeous town that's most famous as the top tea producing area in Sri Lanka. Number 8. Find Sri Lanka's best beaches. With over 800 miles or 1,300 kilometers of uninterrupted coastline, one of the absolute best things to do in Sri Lanka is to go on a beach hopping adventure. Number 9. Do a cooking class. Sri Lankan food feels like a weird fusion between Indian food and Indonesian food with Dutch and Indian Ocean influences. We did a cooking class close to Sigiriya to learn how to make hoppers, a pan-fried dish made from rice flour, coconut milk, and various spices, which often has an egg fried in the middle. It's pretty easy to make and is the most delicious thing you'll ever eat for breakfast. Number 10. Take the train to Galle. I absolutely adored taking the local train from Colombo to Galle. This is how they ride trains in Sri Lanka. A lot of people actually just sit in the doorway and hang out the door. You get to enjoy the incredible scenery. Right now we are just in Colombo City, but soon we are going to be passing the beaches just south of Colombo, and I will show you guys the view from my seat. Number 11. Whale watching in Minneriya. Besides going on an elephant jeep safari, whale watching off the coast of Minneriya was one of the most memorable experiences I had in Sri Lanka. There aren't too many places in the world where you are almost guaranteed to see blue whales, the largest mammals on Earth, just an hour or two out to sea. You'll also spot dolphins, pilot whales, and a whole range of other marine life if you're lucky. Number 12. Watch an epic sunset. Whether you watch the sunset from Sigiriya, from your rooftop pool in Colombo, or while exploring remote Jaffna, taking in as many epic sunsets as possible while traveling around Sri Lanka is a must. This country experiences the most spectacular and colourful sunsets I've ever witnessed, which make it a photographer's dream. Number 13. Visit Sri Lanka's sacred temples. From colourful Hindu temples to Buddhist temples with huge historic and religious importance, you can't fully understand modern-day Sri Lanka and the beliefs of the Sri Lankan people without visiting some of the country's best-known temples. Be sure to pay a visit to the jaw-dropping Golden Temple in Dambulla, Pitarangala Cave Temple close to Sigiriya, and of course the Temple of the Tooth in Kandy. 14. Chase some secret waterfalls. If you're a fan of chasing waterfalls or swimming underneath them, then you'll love central Sri Lanka. Destinations like Nuwara Eliya and Yala are home to some of the largest waterfalls in Sri Lanka, with some better known than others. Experience Asala Perahara in Kandy. If you're lucky enough to be in Sri Lanka in late July or early August, then you have to experience the famous Asala Perahara Festival, also known as the Festival of the Tooth Relic. It takes place in Kandy and is the largest Buddhist celebration in the country, attracting up to 1 million people over the 10-day festival period. Think decorated elephants, fire jugglers, dancers, drummers, and fire breathers taking to the streets to form one spectacular and super colourful parade. Number 16. Stay in a luxury villa. One of the best luxury hotels in Sri Lanka that I stayed in was Water Garden Sigiriya, where every guest gets their own villa, complete with private pool and insane views of Sigiriya Rock. Waking up and jumping in my private pool for a morning swim was one of the most memorable experiences of my trip, and something everyone, if you can afford it, should experience. Number 17. Visit a turtle hatchery. It's not just large mammals that are protected in Sri Lanka. The country also works hard to protect smaller species like baby sea turtles. These hatcheries rescue stranded turtles, nurse them back to health, and take them back to the ocean where they belong.